Probably one of the most iconic references to the Battle of Britain is the quote, "Never was so much owed by so many to so few." Hence, let's start with the numbers of men and equipment. During the height of the battle in August 1940, the fighter command had around 1,380 and the Luftwaffe 870 fighter pilots. In terms of planes, the British had 1,000 fighters, which is around the same number as the Luftwaffe. Yet, only 700 of the British fighters were operational, whereas 800 of the Germans. The main part of the fighter command planes were Hurricanes with about 55%, whereas the Spitfire only reached around 30%. The German Luftwaffe used only one single-engine fighter, the Bf 109. The Royal Air Force and the Luftwaffe were organized differently. The RAF used a functional approach, having commands for bombers, coastal aircraft reserves, training and fighters. Furthermore, the fighter command had operational direction over the anti-aircraft command, which was part of the British Army. The Luftwaffe was organized in so-called Luftflotten, literally meaning air fleets, that used a mix of fighter, bombers and other aircraft. The organization wasn't a major problem for the Luftwaffe. In Poland and the Battle of France, the Luftwaffe achieved air superiority in a short amount of time. Thus it had little experience in escorting and especially defending large formations of bombers. Furthermore, the Luftwaffe was first and foremost a tactical-oriented air force for providing close support to the army, but it was not suited for strategic operations. Thus, the Luftwaffe went into battle it was neither experienced, trained nor built for. Additionally, the RAF had a well-organized defense system. So let's take a look at it. Fighter command was divided into 4 groups, and these were divided into individual sectors with their sector stations, whereas a sector station is a fancy name for airfield. This hierarchy also reflected how information was transferred. When enemy planes were detected by radar, the fighter command headquarters was informed. This information was relayed to the group HQs and the individual sector stations. The group HQs decided which sector was activated, whereas the sector commanders decided on which squadron would be sent into combat. Since radar stations could only provide information on planes flying over the sea, once planes were flying inland, further information was provided by trained volunteers to the Observer Corps, which related directly to the sector stations, who reported to the group HQ. Central part of this system was the so-called radar, which is an acronym for Radio Detection and Ranging. The chain home system had 21 radar stations that could detect the range and altitude of planes up to 200 miles or 320 kilometers. But the average was only 80 miles or 130 kilometers. Aircraft flying below 1000 feet or 300 meters could not be detected by this system. To detect low-flying planes, the chain home low stations was used, which had only a range of about 30 miles or 50 kilometers. Although this system seems flawless in theory, in practice there were many problems. For instance, radar station being out of order due to upgrades and incorrect data from the Observer Corps. Also, relaying the radar information to the squadron took at least 4 minutes, whereas a German squadron could cross the channel in about 6 minutes. Another source of viable information was signal interception. Decrypted Enigma traffic usually could not be provided fast enough to help intercept raids. But due to weak radio discipline on the German side, there was usually a steady information about destination and origin of the enemy squadrons. This system allowed fighter command to choose when and where to attack, something the Luftwaffe command never faced before, and even more important, probably never fully realized throughout the whole battle. In an upcoming video I will take a closer look at the battle itself and especially how the force of balance changed over time. Thank you for watching, please like, comment, share and subscribe, and see you next time.